Hello, everybody. Welcome to the patron-only video call for February 2020. So I'm not going to make this public unless it's a really amazing conversation. No, I don't know. I go back and forth on making these public or not. Part of me likes the idea of just having these private so that it's a little bit more special. And just not flooding the YouTube with just tons of long format videos like this, because there's enough of those, I think, already. Anyway, but this is whatever you guys want to talk about. If you guys want to ask questions or just discuss topics or lead the conversation in a direction, I am happy to go anywhere you guys want to go for the next hour. So,
I have a few questions.
Yes, please.
So I am about to launch a comic book that I've been working on.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to figure out whether to go with Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
Okay. And it is a comic.
Yes, it's a comic book.
Is it very does it feel like the same kind of content that a lot of Indiegogo comics have? You know, like the American style.
So the comics that I've seen on Indiegogo would be yours, Dr. Naples,
Okay.
the Icarus and the Sun. I don't know if you heard
Okay,
of that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And it was in a similar vein.
Okay. Well, I think you have a good chance. The reason I ask is because there's a real specific genre of comics that are really successful there right now. You know, like and that is definitely kind of in that category, but kind of a little bit more even unique. Like Doug's is really unique. Icarus and the Sun is a unique, interesting situation. And then there's a lot more mainstream type approaches to making comics and how they're done on Indiegogo, and that's kind of taken off. So we can definitely ride that wave. I do think it's the best place to be for comics, especially in that vein. Better than Kickstarter at this point. I'm not against Kickstarter. It seems like that's where the mindset is to go to Indiegogo for comics. So I would suggest Indiegogo for sure. You can, there's nothing really bad about trying both either. It's just that you split up your audience, and then it doesn't look as impressive because you have to group the totals.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's about the impression that of how popular it is. So if you get 20,000 on one and 20,000 on another, it just looks like you made 20,000. And that really influences new people coming in. And because I've learned over the years that Kickstarter and Indiegogo is it's kind of marketing. That's one of the biggest things with it. It is a huge form of marketing, and it's a lot of advertising, free advertising for you, kind of, if you just do it right, comparable to really good advertising. That is to say. And when I've polled my audience, I've found that a lot of people discovered me through platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So there's all those factors that are on your side, and you're thinking about all that. And so the hardest part is getting an audience before that and bringing them to Kickstarter to actually have that launch be somewhat kind of on the radar.
Right.
Even if you have 100 people, even if it's just like 100 family members, if you can wrangle that together, or something, to get them to back it up front, then suddenly you're able to compete in that market.
Cool. And then as far as like marketing goes, I know that in the past you recommended things like podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like what's the best way to go about like getting on those?
Getting on podcasts, it's tricky. It's kind of like, it seems to me like you have to produce stuff before people will want to have you on, because it's kind of like with, you got to prove that you've made it and have a kind of a product that's kind of somewhat valuable looking to people before people will trust your opinion and advice enough to have you on a podcast. So there would be, podcasts would be overwhelmed with guests if it was all people who wanted and had an idea, but it's like, so getting that first thing done is kind of the most important goal, and printed and made, so that then you can use that as leverage to say, hey, look, I made this thing. Can I be on your show? And it's still hard, because you're starting out, and you're not like an established author. It's not like you're Stephen King. None of us are. And so it's, he could just like send out a tweet to someone and get on 500 podcasts. So, but us, we got to prove ourselves. And so how do we got to do that by just getting at least those first products done and out there, so that the market can kind of start reacting and seeing what we're doing. And then I think that's when the marketing in that way kind of begins. And yeah, just kind of, you build that audience slowly, and a lot of it's just getting a shout out, like, to people, hey, does anyone have something that I can come on to and talk about? And a lot of times you want to approach it like, can I help you? Like, you're helping them by giving them a guest, really, And so, you'll start small. Like, if you have an audience of 100 people, like, start hitting up the podcasts and the YouTube channels that have a small audience too, and or similar, or maybe slightly above yours. And then it's easy to connect with those people and get involved. And then the audience grows from there. And then you hit up the people that have a similar size as you, if you're in the thousands, you know what I'm saying? And so you can't ever shoot for like the 1 million subscriber audience to jump on their podcast, unless, you're not going to get on the Joe Rogan Experience unless you have the Joe Rogan Experience type interest in your stuff. So, so those are just kind of little ways to think about it, I think.
How would you describe the genre of comics that are on Indiegogo?
Well, it seems to me like it's a lot more like American style superhero comics that have been some of the more successful ones. And that's where a lot of because what you're seeing is an influx of like comic artists that are professionals, comic artists and writers that worked in the American comic industry, kind of trying to push into that world and do their own thing. And so that's kind of become kind of the mindset of a lot of it. And then you have people like me and Doug. Doug's had way more experience in comics than I do, but we're trying to just make our hardcover, big, fat, glorious books, and it's not about as much about superheroes or getting all that detail. It's more about long form stories and stuff like that. So, instead of the short, I don't know if I have an example here. Like a lot of them are the here's my graphic novel, and it's really like 60 pages long, little page soft cover, which is fine, and that seems to be working. But that doesn't interest me as a consumer. That doesn't interest me, and so I want the big Doug Tnaple hardcover, So it's a little separate as far as the mindset, but I think they're both equally working really well. But I do see a lot more interest in that world of the superhero people who left Marvel Comics and started doing their own thing type stuff.
Gotcha.
But it's good for us because we can ride that wave of interest.
Yeah.
Like when I launched my second campaign for Remind on Kickstarter, it raised a lot of money, and the main reason is because Kickstarter had this campaign that raised over $1 million. It was our first campaign that raised over $1 million for a game, and so all these news channels news reports were talking about Kickstarter being the way of the future. So it was just flooded with new traffic, just finding out about Kickstarter for the first time. And so I was in there right when that was happening, and so I got a flood of people backing my stuff at that time because of all the exposure from those guys. So it's kind of the same thing, we can all ride that wave and participate in it as long as it's kind of in that. I think as long as it's in a comic world, it's fine. If it's more obscure and different, then I think it might be better at Kickstarter. So that's the only reason I ask. I don't know though. I don't really necessarily really study all the people that are doing it all the time, and so but just so you know, for me, like my next campaign will be at Indiegogo with Cave Pictures Publishing for the Shapes book, which will come out. It will launch like second week of March, and then after that, I'm going to do a Kickstarter for a drawing book because I think that would be more successful on Kickstarter. So anyway, it's a guess. It's all a guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so I asked you a question before, like on your blog. You recommended using Alterna comics in the newsprint
Oh, okay. Yeah.
printing option. Do you think like releasing 2 newsprint comics would work on something like Indiegogo?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been working. Like people.
Oh, okay, cool.
I do have an example. Like this is by Alterna, and these are individual issues. It's like 6 issues in here. Scrimshaw,
cool.
and they've just done one comic at a time on Indiegogo, and then Alterna prints it, and then they put it in stores. And then
what's that one called?
It's called Scrimshaw. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that. SCRIMSHAW. So you can like still order these from Alterna, and they continue to put out more. Let's see. I don't know how many are in the series. Maybe they've finished the series, but you can definitely do stuff like this, and this would lower your risk factor and stuff. But you also gotta. You're not going to charge much because this is like $1.50 for this.
Yeah.
So you got to have thousands of backers to really get those numbers up there to where you would make any sort of profit. But he's but then Peter's also publishing it through Alterna, and so it's going through comic shops and all that stuff. So there's multiple revenue streams from it. I
think they're running ads in the comic as well and making a lot of the money back that way.
Yeah, they do advertising in it. Just so this is a real mainstream model, American mainstream model. It's just that it is taking advantage of the cheap prices of newsprint, and there's a lot of interesting things happening in this world. I don't know if it's necessarily where I would want to go first. I like the idea of putting out the signature edition that is kind of the artist edition that's really beautiful and hardcover first, and just kind of getting most of my revenue from that, and then using things like Alterna and all these different web portals to re-solicit and republish the content that I've already created. That's the way I'm approaching it, which is kind of backwards from comic publishing, because the comic publishing industry is always like put out the floppies first, and then you collect it if it sells enough, and then you make the nice hardcovers if the trade paperback does well, but I think the opposite approach is better, where you're just the first thing to market is the best edition, the collector's edition, and then you use the cheap means to get to the market second and third, and that way you can I think you can actually make a living from it that way, a little easier anyway. It looks like I'm really successful, and it might look like I'm making a lot of money, but I guarantee you I'm not. My taxes are a mess, and it's so I'm trying. I mean, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing things like cognitive drawing, is I'm trying to build a stable revenue stream that's passive income from things like cognitive drawing, so that I can just keep making comics and not worrying about them overfunding and overperforming so that I can bank money for the next year's bills, you know, because that's just, you're always trying to hit a home run in that sense. You know? So, and one of my books might not hit a home run. And so then what would I do? Well, go back, find some freelance work, which I could, but I just don't want to put myself in that situation. So I'm always like trying to figure out the most profitable, smart way to move forward. And it's not like profitable as in I'm making lots of money that I just sit on. It's just like profitable as in I can pay my bills easily, regularly, and I don't have to keep worrying about it. So, So anyway, I've gone all over the place.
So you would say it's definitely better to like have a product out before you do much marketing, because I guess it's the whole chicken and the egg thing. It's really hard to launch something when you don't have much presence.
Yeah.
Like my husband's a publicist for a publishing company, and he's kind of like, you need to really get things out there right around launch time. But if you don't have anything out there, it's like, like, do you feel like you were able to launch well? Because, I mean, you were doing that whole, like, blog thing before FreeMind, right?
Yeah. I was doing that as I was making the pages, so it helped build that momentum.
It really did.
And I think
you kind of gave the world something before you actually launched,
Yeah.
Like we were just, like, amateur, like, comic people wanting to do stuff, and we're like, oh, how do you print a book? Oh, your blog came up, so it's like,
exactly.
It's actually pretty smart. Would you say that's like kind of the first thing that gave you momentum, or was it?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, because I put Remind online as a test to just see if more people than my family would actually read it.
Like pictures of it before you published it, right?
That was before I even knew what to do with it. I started my job at DreamWorks, and I had about a chapter of Remind done. And I was like, should I just abandon this? I don't know what to do with this, but I guess some people are putting stuff online, so I'll try that and just, if I can turn people's heads online, then maybe cool. But if not, then hey, at least it was a good try. At least I didn't shelf it and not show it to anyone.
Yeah.
That was my fear. I worked on it so long. I didn't want to just put it away and say, oh, well, this job will be my life from now on. So I started putting it out, and I was studying how to blog and do all those techniques to kind of get people interested in my stuff, trying to do advertising, all that stuff. And so it was a real chore in learning all that stuff and just how to, and the webcomic market was really it was young as far as long form comics go. There wasn't a whole lot to see in that world online. And so it was but I just used the excitement that I got from other people that did amazing art and put it online, and their dreams and visions of like, I'm going to make this comic. And so I'm here, I'm sharing the progress. And I got excited about that. So I was like, well, people must get excited about my stuff. Maybe if I'm getting excited about theirs, someone's got to get excited about mine.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of approached it that way and just went as hard as I could with it. And then, then Kickstarter came out and suggested that. So it's, but I've really realized through that process that it was the whole process of giving people stuff weekly or monthly that was the most valuable part of my business model. And it still is. And that's why I maybe don't do the blog, but I do YouTube, and I try to keep content on YouTube regularly because, more people find the YouTube content now than that ever found the blog before.
It's not quite the same as it used to be.
That's how I found you.
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I still struggle with how to do YouTube effectively to where I don't burn out and all that stuff. And it's the same with blogging. It's like you got to do it in a way to where you enjoy it enough to where you can do it for a long period of time so you don't get burnt out. And I've changed my strategy a lot over the years with YouTube, and I think I'm starting to understand how I want to approach it, a little bit more going forward. But I still, I'm such a firm believer in finishing the thing and then putting it out. Here, let me get Jessica in here. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Sorry, we're right in the middle of a conversation. So I'm still in the middle of. I'm right in the. I'm still a firm believer of get the thing done and put it out so that you can prove to people what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you can't show people things, and if it's a webcomic, you can show people things every week with a page. But there's nothing like having that finished first book done, that finished first story. That's when kind of the big players start looking at you and going, "Oh, he's doing something."
Yeah.
He's doing something interesting.
Yeah.
He's not just a wannabe who's trying to put out a couple pages and hoping that he gets an agent or something. Whatever the goal is, everyone starts at the little goals, and you accomplish those and you keep going. So I really started seeing the change, though, in people's opinions towards me after that first book was done.
Yeah.
When I was starting my next book, because all the big players want to see what you're doing next. They see what you've done and they want to see what you're doing next.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But and that's, I guess, I'm not in the mainstream publishing world, but I guess that's why in that world they get books done like 2 years or 3 years before they're published, so they can set up all these things right at that launch.
Yeah.
But you do have to have that finished book done 2 years ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly.
So it still comes back to finishing that book, and so you can prove that it's a real deal. It's a real thing. So.
Yeah, it's like you proved that you could go through the whole process and actually finish something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's the hardest part. It's the hardest part. Like, how do we know you can end a story? You don't know until you see it and you read it.
And then people with promise, like there's this guy, like, I don't know, 8 years ago was coming out with something called Non-Player. I don't know.
Yeah. That was a huge inspiration to me.
And it was like beautiful and detailed, and I think like Image picked him up or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he ever finished, but it was like, it was something that was like, this would be amazing if it was done. Did he ever finish?
Yeah. He didn't, because it took him like a year to do each issue. Yeah. And so he just ran out of money, and then he had to go back and get a job. But and I think he sold the rights to that.
Did he?
To a studio. So there's a it's probably just going to sit on a shelf for the rest of his life. But there's a potential it might actually be made into a movie.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica, you're probably in here for 2 seconds, right? Do you have to run? Can you hear me?
She's muted.
She clearly doesn't have to run. She is driving.
He's driving. I can't hear you, Jessica.
You're muted,
Oh,
Jessica.
no. Oh, no.
1 second.
I live.
All right, there you go. Do you have to run really fast, or
Fun with
or
microphones. Can you guys hear me?
I can, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
Probably not that well.
No.
It's good. It's really good.
Okay. It's probably trying to stream.
Well, if you have to run, Jessica, feel free to chime in and say what you want to say. If you gotta do your thing. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. Never mind.
I can't even hear Jason. I just see his lips moving. I only hear N. Kennedy. So
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's weird. I just see like Jason miming charades in the corner, and I'm like, this isn't interesting conversation. So I'm sorry. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and duck out. I just want to come say hi, and that I had a lot of pages I actually want to show and get some feedback, but it'll just wait till next month. So
sounds good.
You guys have a great conversation. Hope everyone's doing well, and I will catch you next time. Bye.
See you, Jessica. All right.
Bye.
Let's kick her out. There we go. There's another person trying to get in, but it says device not connected. I don't know what to do with that.
Might be Lauro.
Well, yeah, Laro. I don't know what to do about you, Laro. It says device not connected. Well, anyway, Fitz Factor, what do you want to say?
Hi. How are you? I was just having a conversation with Laura in the chat.
Okay. Oh, there's a chat. Where is that? Oh, I totally didn't see that.
That's okay.
Wow, you guys are going at it. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
chat.
bringing up the possibility of another like comic specific platform instead of Indiegogo or Kickstarter. And so we were talking about the pros and cons and the difficulties that would entail.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem with starting something new is you have to get some heavyweights on it to get anyone to notice, you know? And the thing about Kickstarter is there were heavyweights on it at the time. People noticed it. It started getting big. And then for some reason, certain heavyweights went over to Indiegogo and everyone started noticing it there. And so so that's the biggest hurdle for any like new little company to jump.
Yeah. I was also saying that it's also just the incentive for the customer to seek out or leave platforms because like once somebody has their credit card information in a site, it's so much easier to like continually purchase new things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like and my point was that for anyone that's interested enough to seek out indie comics, they've already found Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So not that the market can't grow, but I feel like the market has grown to probably like the level it is probably stabilized at. You know, obviously it might grow more, but not sure we'll be seeing exponential growth anytime soon.
Yeah.
So just and that just means that like people have kind of like all congregated on these sites, and like because they work well enough, you know, there's no big draw to get people to leave, I guess.
Yeah. And you're tapping into that market too, you know. So that's the nice thing is you make a thing, put it on there. It's like free advertising to everybody that kind of visits that site regularly, and so that's a big deal, you know. I think, you know, the only thing that would really change it if someone like a Todd McFarlane or something would launch his own version that's just Image Comics would launch their own version. It's like, and it's just for comics, and all these big guys were just like, this is the place to go, you know. And it's that could change the game, you know. But I don't know why they would have that incentive to do that.
I think that Laura and I I don't know about, I can't speak perfectly for the sentiments in chat, but from what I've seen and from what I've seen personally, I think the only major complaint is stuff revolving around crowdfunding and this like juxtaposition between customer desire and like what crowdfunding typically offers. So if you like trace back the history of Kickstarter, it started out as being the like, you know, crowdfunding was, I've got this idea, but I don't have revenue to make it happen. And it's kind of shifted lately into, I have this thing and I need pre-orders. And so if you've got this like pre-order mentality, then there's possibly another way to create a crowdfunding site that's more stringent for the creator to like have his printing lined up and his shipping lined up and have some deadlines that have refundable costs associated to it.
I see, yeah.
So that would be like the only possibility that I could envision, but still those things are like maybe not enough to make people really care.
Yeah.
Would this hypothetically be a print on demand type deal?
I don't know. I'm not paid for this. If it was print on, well, I would probably think not. Because if it was print on demand, you'd just go through Amazon or something.
Yeah. You don't really need the pre-orders with print on demand. You put it out and then hope you get orders at all.
Yeah.
But it is weird to see that like, not weird, but it is an interesting shift to see crowdfunding change into this pre-order mentality. It's just different than, I mean, I've been on Kickstarter for, I don't know, probably like a little over 7 or 8 years. So I've seen like different ways that people tackle their campaigns, and it's changed.
Matter. They do.
Yeah.
Even in traditional publishing, it matters.
Are you guys doing that?
Oh yeah, we tried to push for pre-orders as much as we could before the book came out. So
Isn't in traditional publishing, isn't the pre-orders what pays for the actual print run?
I couldn't tell you that. I just
Yeah.
know it just kind of it's an indication of popularity and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I think that
I'm assuming that's kind of why Kickstarter went that direction, is because as more businesses joined, you know, they have to have that business model in place to even justify putting the money into it, you know?
yes.
And so, and then those things get successful, and then the small time creators go, oh, well, this is how we do it. And, you know, even my next campaign for cognitive drawing that I'm personally doing, I was really like serious about getting the book completely done. Just, I want to get everything done and then go almost even start the printing process before I launch the campaign. And then just at the last minute say, okay, you know, after that first week, I'll know generally how much I need to print, because I just, you like double it from the first 3 days or something. At least that's what I've found with my campaigns. And then you get a really good idea. And then you can just ship it out immediately, you know? So in that sense, it kind of is that same thing where I'm not as much approaching it like I'm the starving artist who needs funds to finish this passion project. Now I'm just like, I got this passion project done.
Yeah.
Now I just need you guys to help me print it because I can't afford that.
To speak for Lauro, and this is actually quite interesting. He says that there's a book publishing company called Unbound, whose model is that they do all the printing and binding themselves. And that would be an interesting model, because one of the complaints for artists is that most artists aren't marketers or aren't good at like shipping and buying and printing books. And so it would be an interesting model to have, like, if it's funded, our company prints it and ships it. But obviously for a chunk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, same thing. I'm kind of taking that approach with, well, Shapes is going to be launched. They're going to ship it. I'm doing the negotiation. I'm doing the printing talks and proofing, and then I'll get the final approval from them. But they're paying for it through their campaign, and then the books are being shipped to them, and they're fulfilling it. So it's kind of that way. And then with cognitive drawing, I am adamant about not touching these books. I want them pretty much almost shrink wrapped, and none of them will be signed, because it's not about me as an author. It's more about the curriculum for artists. They'll go from the printer to the distributor, and then they'll distribute them from there. And then I'll just get the overstock, you know, I'll get the other 500 copies or however extra I print. And so in that way, it's really that kind of method. Like, I just want to get that thing as soon as the campaign ends. I want it to be like shipped. I mean, send those orders straight to a person that just is fulfilling it, you know, not worry about getting paid backers' names in the books and stuff like that. But it's only because it's a curriculum, not a author type storybook, you know, like I'm the author of this new thing. So it's a little different model for that.
After you do your like pre-orders with a crowdfunding campaign, how do you do like actual orders if you're just starting off?
Oh, so after you've wrapped up your campaign, how do you continue to sell books after that?
Right.
Welcome, Matt. Well, there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can list them on Amazon, and then have them warehouse them. You pay a lot of money for that kind of stuff. Or you can have them order books I think it's like every Sunday they'll order another batch of books, and then you ship them out to the Amazon locations. I did that with Remind One. There's also a lot of digital platforms you can obviously list it on and sell digital versions. So that's kind of a little revenue, not much. You can like try to get a distributor in place. Like like I have this distributor called SCB Distributors in Gardena, California, that just handles indie books. And even though it might seem
What's
like,
it called?
that's great. It's called SCB Distributors. Just go to scbdistributors.com. They even though they do indie books, they're still very selective. And usually they require a company to have 4 books published under their company name first before they're interested. I got through the doors into their system. Matt's having trouble here. Let me switch.
Oh
something.
my. Hey.
I don't know which one of you is the real Matt.
Hey, how about this one? Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, doing well. How are you?
I'm Matt.
Welcome.
Guys?
One second, Matt. Let me. What was I talking about? Oh, the distributing. One second, Matt. And so they told me they get about 1,200 companies coming to them every year, and they only accept about 10. So that was a couple of years ago when I asked them. So that's kind of what you're up against. But so I signed a contract with them, and they're still fulfilling my books. I don't know though if I want to have I think there's a point where I might want to switch and just fulfill my own books and take them off of Amazon. And I've noticed because of Doug and a couple other people that there's this really nice situation that you can create for yourself where if you just get people to join mailing lists and buy your back catalog through campaigns, then you can just do the fulfillment all at once, like once or twice a year, make all that money, and you cut out all the middlemen, and then you just work on your next thing and do the same thing again, and you're always selling your back catalog on that next campaign. So that's a neat idea, and I like it, and I think it seems to be working for Doug really well.
And that's through like Backer Kit.
Backer Kit's a great way to have a back catalog sale. I've been using Backer Kit. They do cost money, but I like with my last campaign, I made about 15,000 extra on top of the campaign just selling back catalog stuff at half price through Backer Kit. So because the problem is, if you start trying to do all these things to get books into everyone's hands out of every single website and location and stuff by any means possible, you just become a full-time fulfillment operating person, and you just can't get anything done, and you're just overwhelmed and consumed with just the logistics of shipping and fulfilling and customer service and all that stuff. So there is a real nice, unless you can get to a place where you have a company in place and people working for you that are handling this full time, that's a real hard thing to handle on your own. And so I'm really attracted to that approach of just almost cutting things off of Amazon, cutting things off of all these other channels, and people just have to come through me to get it. They get it for the price I want to sell it.
Yeah.
Because Amazon, they can sell it for whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so they'll undercut everybody.
Yeah.
It hasn't been beneficial for you to have it on Amazon.
It really was, I think, a great way to let people know that my books exist and that there's a high star rating and all this stuff. It was good for years, but I think now that I've kind of been established, at least a little bit, as long as I'm doing things like YouTube videos and continuing to make books and crowdfunding them and doing podcasts and all that stuff, the fan base is growing way faster than what Amazon can provide. Have
you tried doing Amazon ads or paying for?
I haven't tried any ads through Amazon.
Oh wow!
My husband's company is they're small but growing really fast, and they're looking at the numbers, and they make tens of thousands just from Amazon ads.
Amazon ads, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I should contact you after the show.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband's here. I'd be happy to ask him about it, but because they're just a small publishing company that's just grown really fast over the last like 5 years or so.
That's awesome.
Um,
Okay.
Wow.
And so it's really it's kind of like interesting, like watching him like be
Yeah.
a really fast growing company and like so they're just like, oh, let's try this and see if that works, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of like interesting. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll steal that, you know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was curious if you had tried the ads.
Yeah. I haven't. What kind of stuff does he publish?
He is mostly theological books because I don't know if you know Logos Bible Software.
Oh yeah.
The company that does that, they started just a physical book publishing company because they just had so much content. They're like, well, let's see if people still like physical books, and they just have done so well that the company just keeps being like, sure, you guys can grow, you know, kind of a thing. So
yeah.
They're branching out to children's books this year, which I think I told you about. But so it's mostly like, it's still like in the Christian world and stuff. But that's what he does. But it's
awesome.
You know, a lot of these skills are like crossover. Obviously, this is a really
well, I mean, I just don't, you know, I dabble in some things and then I don't understand it, and so then I like, well, I know how to do this.
I know, me too. I'm like,
so, yeah. But I mean, I would love, like for my children's book, I would love to just have an actual publisher do that, because I don't feel like I have the desire to learn how to self-publish a children's book, because it's such a different world.
Market too.
It's
like
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, you should just give that product to somebody else.
Exactly. So, you know, and then I have a novel too, which I don't know what I'll do with that, but
a novel.
Yeah. I don't think I'll put my name on it.
Just an average novel.
It's something that my audience will disappear if they find out I wrote it.
Maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think you were bringing up earlier. I'm sorry. I say you because I'm not sure who N. Kennedy is.
Sorry, I'm Tasha, and this is my friend.
Hi. Oh, nice to meet both of you.
Nice to meet you.
You were bringing up the chicken and egg problem in terms of like before you have anything finished, what do you do?
Yeah.
And it really sounds like the answer is you just do whatever. And if it doesn't work by the time you have something finished, well, then that's your thing that you go off.
Yeah, just release it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just get that book done, like that's what I'm trying to do with my series. I'm about to release volume 1. It's like if I can just get one out, then you can market the series.
And I don't know where I'm positioned on your screen, but I'm completely in the opposite place from Jason, which is nice because I'll give a completely opposite answer from him.
Wow, let's get this
visual representation.
He's pretty he's pretty like anti-social media at the moment.
Jason is,
but
it's understandable.
It is completely understandable. This is not to say he's doing anything wrong, but his position is much different from a creator who hasn't done anything yet. And the fact that you're creating something that is of a visual nature, you have the best opportunity to share that on social media. So, you know, I think the answer really is like, if you don't have anything done, but you are consistently doing work towards it, you can then consistently share that work. And, you know, it's not as good as showing I finished something, but it's still better than, you know, surprise, here's the campaign that nobody knows about.
Stay visible is kind of key, especially if you're small time. You know, if you're published, you may not have a huge following, so it's good to post progress. It's good to show people that you're being active. Because they straight up will forget you in seconds. So
we have Matt here. Matt's number 2 right now. Matt's on his second campaign, or I don't know if it's his second campaign, but his second Kyria. Man, I'm so sorry, Matt.
Buddy. No, Oh, thanks for the shout out. Yeah, it's trying to follow the Brubaker method, you know.
Well, you like literally launched today, right? Or yesterday?
Yeah, like 11 p.m. last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
What did you launch? What's your
It's tough.
What's your thing?
What's my pitch?
Yeah, what did you just launch so we can look it up?
Oh, it's the second of my Kyrie series. It's on Kickstarter and Indiegogo at the same time, and it's RI.
Let me see
Like
if I
an
can.
action adventure, Sword and Sandal, Romance with the Sand, kind of Indiana Jones and Ancient Rome. Is kind of how I'm pitching it. So it's
Oh, nice.
What's it called?
Curie.
Curious.
Here, let me see if I can screen share
Yeah.
it.
It is tough listening to you guys. Like, I mean, we're always reminded that I think people back campaigns because they first learn to trust you as the creator,
Mhm.
I guess, and as the author. They'll trust your book because they trust you, and figuring out ways to develop that trust is a challenge. And I guess YouTube and podcasting has worked historically and probably continues to work, but there's always ways. It's a moving target, you know. You got to figure out how to let people really get to know you, you know, and then they'll check out your book.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Let me take this off so we can add someone else. I don't know how to do this now. I'm stuck.
Oh no.
Stop screen share. There we go. So, Fizz Factor, I just want to say, I'm not against. I want people to use social media to share my book.
Hater.
I want everyone to use it.
Yeah.
Share it with your friends and family. I just don't want to waste my time on there.
Yeah.
Feels like such a fact.
My point is that, like, for someone that doesn't have an audience, it might not be a waste of time to like use that as
Build
the
on it.
grind to build it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
I've
sure.
I've met people and on Twitter that I didn't expect to meet and make connections I didn't expect to
Are you on
make.
Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Have you really? You just search my name.
I mean, your name and your contacts is different to your.
Oh yeah,
name.
yeah.
So I was like,
Sorry. No, it's kind of bizarre. I didn't
we
expect
just met. We just met, and I was like, someone's like, "Hey, did you know there's another graphic novelist at our church?" I was like, "What?"
Nice.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, she does. She's actually just releasing her second volume with First Second called. What is volume
This
2 called?
Cotton's the White Carrot.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it's
First
like
Second, that's a great
like
company.
Redwall type graphic
First
novel.
Second.
Yeah, First Second is great. They did a really good job with the publishing. They have excellent hardbacks, and I think first
It's
book
really
came out in paperback too.
Yeah, First Second is awesome. Have you read Ryan Andrews? This Was Our Pact. That's from First Second. That's pretty fun.
Oh no, I haven't yet.
Oh, it's super nice. So I trust that company. I'm checking out your White Rabbit.
Oh yeah, no, it's Cotton's the White Carrot.
The White Carrot. That
Yeah,
would make sense why I was just getting tissue boxes.
Yeah. yeah. So that's the second one. The first one is Cotton's The Secret of the Wind. So
yeah. She had Jeff Smith endorse it. I was like, "How did you do
I
that?"
don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
It's bonkers.
Very, very, very beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm still in shock about that. That was
Let
crazy.
me see if I can find it here. Screen
Yeah.
sharing.
Back to the social media thing. Like, I know my husband's always telling me, like, "Oh, you should." Oh, there it is.
Hey, that's us.
Look
Yep.
inside. Oh boy.
Can we look inside?
Does Amazon? Oh, there you go.
It does.
That's awesome.
So you wrote it and drew it, or
Oh,
what was
I just illustrated it.
illustrated? Wow.
Yeah, so it's a writer. Oh my gosh, these pages. These are the pitch pages, so they're like super old at this point.
You can actually, well, yeah, you can. I'm pretty sure you can contact Amazon about the preview pages if there's a problem.
Oh yeah, well no, honestly, I mean they're in the book, so you know.
Oh, okay.
They get better. That's all I'm saying is that these are done in like 2013 for the pitch, so it looks way different.
Yeah. It has like a Watership Down vibe, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes, very Watership Down. That's one of our big inspirations.
That's cool.
So,
That movie terrified me as a kid, but I loved it.
Oh yeah. It's an excellent book. I read it until it was dog-eared in 6th grade, and then I watched the movie and was properly horrified, but still.
The true fans.
Yeah.
That's great. This looks really neat.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations on getting published through First Second. That's a big
thank
deal.
you. Thank you. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's such a different world. Like, I get such conflicting advice and opinions from which, depending on the goals that I have, you know, and that's the hardest thing I think for anyone to do is like figure out what that goal is, and then go after the strategies to attain that goal.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like you've reached where you wanted to be as a comic book like person? I feel like it's this weird ladder to climb. It's like you don't know what success is. Like, sure, people bought my book. Now I'm making another one. I'm kind of paying the bills. Like,
Yeah.
somewhere like else you're trying to get to now.
I feel like I've reached all the goals I had before. Was I just want to be able to do my own things and get enough money to be able to continue doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at. But the you know, obviously I have new goals of I want to produce enough passive income to where I'm not stressed out every day trying to make this next comic to make sure I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's kind of like the next hopeful goal on the horizon and that's why I'm doing things like the cognitive drawing and stuff.
Yeah.
I really do think that there's a lot of potential to make a nice passive income from something like that. And even if it means not doing comics as fast, you know, the thing is, I don't want to be chained to the drawing desk and have to like execute so many pages a day, every day in order to make a living at this, you know?
Yeah.
Like I would rather just go back to DreamWorks and make more money doing that.
Yeah.
So I do really enjoy that I can create my own stuff and make it. And there's nothing like that creative process of you know, having enough money to where you're not worried about that, and then just being in this creative mode where it's like, I'm juggling all these things I love doing. You know, that's just such a dream come true, but it doesn't last long because the money disappears.
Yeah, totally.
Before, man, Bitcoin.
And I've realized too, like if I'm in a constant state of worry of finances, then it's really hard for me to be creative. You know? And
yeah,
that's what the beauty of like things like working at DreamWorks was, is it allowed me to, even though I was doing it on the side, I wasn't worried about money and paying the bills and any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I could just go and work on this passion project on the side, and whatever happened with it happened. You know, once I transitioned here, it was like, luckily Sithra was picked up by Webtoons, so that paid the bills. But it was like such a quick pace of turnaround for that book that it really wore me out. Yeah. And when I got done with it, I felt like I can't do this again. You know, I don't think I could physically do this again, or mentally. And not to mention, like, it paid just enough to pay the bills. And so I didn't have anything saved. And so I'm like, okay, I got to change the strategy a little bit here. This isn't working, because I can't wear myself out mentally and physically and creatively. So that's really the ultimate struggle for me at this point, is trying to get myself in a place to where I can have that stress, that money stress relieved, so that I can be in a creative state of mind easily, you know?
Yeah. Right now I'm looking for like random side jobs where it's, you know, it's like I can take a couple hours here and do something, and then it takes some of the pressure off of trying to do it just my comics, because in traditional publishing, the advance is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's that whole concept, the advance being not enough, is really one of the things that continues to push me to just keep trying to self-publish.
Yes.
Even though I'm not reaching as many people, and even though it's not as kind of prestigious and I'm not looked at as a real official published person, I see it as satisfying the bills more than, you know? And so, and I know it's like, which way do I want to focus on? Because if I do get into a real publisher and it's a lower advance, it can kind of get the exposure that I need to maybe tip that scale in that world. But if I continue doing the self-publishing, it can also tip that scale to make it work in self-publishing really well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you look at people like Doug TenNapel and you're like, wow, you know, $800,000 for a comic book. You know, you can't get that advance, you know?
No.
So I know he spent, you know, he probably spent half that on it, you know, in taxes. But still, $400,000. Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to him about what he's doing with the money, so I don't know. But, you know, maybe.
Well, part of his success is how much he's been able to do, like his saturated social media presence. So he just went, whether he says he hates social media, but I think he loves it a lot more than you do. And I think that's probably a big reason for the success, you know? Like he's arms deep in everything social media. And I always think, like, if you went back, I know you probably wouldn't like to hear this, but if you went back to like 2016, Jason Brubaker, where you were live streaming all the time,
yeah, I
feel like you might appreciate that kind of, I don't know. It would be a boost in exposure, I would think.
Yeah.
You know, but I know that's stressful. But
well, I think I just need to be in the right frame of mind again. Like if I'm stressing about paying the bills and getting these pages done and stuff like that, and I'm trying to figure it out, all this stuff, like the last thing I need is the burden of live streaming and being entertainment and all that stuff. But there are times when it's easy to do that, you know. This whole month was definitely not, because I was working on cognitive drawing, and it's just like the most boring, like workbook type content that I'm creating. But as part of the marketing campaign for that, I do want to actually go through the cognitive drawing exercises, like one a day, and kind of live stream myself doing the exercises. So, you know, there are moments when I really want to try that potentially. I might change it from being a live stream to actually just recording video and releasing them. I don't know, but you know, for me, it's just that mental bandwidth. It's like pretty soon it snaps and I can't do it all anymore, you know, because it's just, I don't know. Like there has to be stability in some areas of the life before I do too many instability things, you know?
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I hate social media. And if that's like what you have to do to get fans, I'll just be a non-person. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, hate it.
Maybe you could get, like, you seem to have assistants on occasion. Like, maybe you could just have an assistant who's just handling Twitter and Instagram for you or something, and then you don't have to do it.
Well, the thing is, I just haven't found, nobody finds me through Twitter and Instagram. It's people that have found me already who just want to kind of be a part of the feed, but then no one responds to it. So even when I do it, I think Instagram a little more, but as far as that translating to sales, it's just, I don't see those numbers making it worth it. You know, it's that 80-20 principle. Like social media becomes the 80% of my time that's bringing in 20% of the results. When if I can just focus 80% of my time on making an amazing book and releasing it on Kickstarter and showing it to my mailing list and doing a YouTube video about it, then boom, it's like, it's huge.
Yeah,
you know?
You don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, and then say, everybody share this on social media right now, you know? I've done both of them.
Yep.
So,
do it yourself.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, I don't expect Steve Jobs to, if he was alive, to still be tweeting, hey, my new Apple iPad is coming out tomorrow, you know?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, but at the same time, Apple does have a Twitter, and they do have a social media marketing team. So the question is, do authors need to scale up?
But does Twitter, are they doing that because they have to, or because that's leading their sales. It's not leading their sales.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. It's a good case study because like I'm
Twitter is not making Apple famous. I'm sorry.
They're already famous. They're already famous.
But
like what
yeah.
Fitzfactor's saying is, Jason, you're already got your audience. Like we're still trying to get to where you're at.
Yeah, yeah.
Or take a dying brand like
listen to this,
Wendy's and see how they like capitalized on you know, new trends.
Yeah. But hear me out though. I never did get I started Twitter and I think Instagram. No, I started Instagram a little later. But I started Facebook and Twitter around the same time I started my blog and started posting on remindblog.com. Twitter and Instagram never did anything for me, even at those times. It was the blog articles. It was posting pages every Monday.
Yeah.
It was advertising. It was talking to other webcomics and having cross promotion. That's what grew the audience.
Yeah.
Twitter and Facebook was me connecting with my friends and having conversation.
Fair enough.
So it's not a business tool. It's a connecting to friends tool. And that's why I tell people, go talk to your friends on all those platforms, but don't make me talk to your friends on those platforms.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a hard time thinking it's more that I have a hard time thinking it's what the Twitter and Instagram is trying to market themselves as to the world. They're marketing themselves as the platforms that you need to be on to start your business. And sure, you know, like if friends are talking to friends, that helps businesses, but that business has to be good and it has to be talk worthy. You know,
the question would come into play though, like if you as a creator make something that's easily like retweetable or, you know, shareable, like would that be more easy to then get word of mouth spread if you were to share it on that platform, you know?
Yeah. Well, my husband is telling me, like I said, he's the publicist at his company, so this is his job.
Yeah.
He says, like, do you want to say what you think about social media? Just come
Yes.
home so I don't have to say what you say.
I want to hear
All
this.
right, let's get the businessman.
Let me full screen you guys.
It's obviously a different world.
Yeah, it's like, do comic people even?
Well, I mean, I could imagine that in the comic world it would be helpful because everything's so visual. So there's that sharing element and retweeting element. But what we do, I mean, a lot of what we're doing is retweeting things that other people are saying about our stuff. And so we have a pretty decent sized network of other authors or even some other publishers, you know, but a lot of media outlets, you know, like blogs, podcasts and stuff that people will excerpt parts of our book or talk about one of our books, or an author will say something about it. And so we do a lot of just retweeting of what people say, but it depends. Like I could imagine, obviously, like if one of your books gets a review or gets mentioned somewhere on a blog, that would be something that's social media can be really handy there.
Yeah.
But it just depends. I don't know the comic world as much, at least in the marketing end of it. But because things are so visual, I mean, what we're dealing with, you know, print books. It's not that exciting to like something like social media. You know, you're not going to like paste like 1,000 words of a book and have people get excited about it. In the same sort of way I could imagine you would with anything visual. So I think there is room there, but there has to be the whole network underneath it as well to support it. Like you have to have, it's like a snowball, you know, you have to have everything like getting on top of it. So you might post something and it might just go nowhere because you need to have that whole network of other people who are used to sharing things and tweeting things. And I'm not sure if that's there in the comic world as much. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. I think that makes sense, having the network of people, and I think that's what works for me with YouTube. Is like if I put out a YouTube video or share it with my mailing list, everybody who's in that world can talk about it then, you know, and I can see that for sure with Twitter. Like there has to be this really intense network that's kind of underlying it all. And I definitely don't have that on Twitter.
There's also like on Twitter, there's a whole outrage culture as well. So it's like, what are we going to be mad at about the moment? And so in the Christian publishing world, at least in the world I'm in with the more like slightly more academic, there's that element as well of like everyone's getting fired up about something some pastor said, and you kind of like jump on board with that. Like the hating, but we're kind of like we can kind of speak into things that are already happening on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like that's where Twitter is very much like what's happening right this minute. I think Instagram and YouTube make good sense as well for comics, because again there's a whole visual element, and it's like on Instagram you go primarily for images. I can imagine that being useful.
That's cool.
Still don't have one.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Back to Twitter.
Yeah. You can take us off the screen.
Yeah.
How do I?
Pressure.
I was in the hot seat.
Yeah, there you go.
Stop. Yeah. How interesting. See, I can see at a certain point, if I were to get a company big enough to where I could hire a team of people to do marketing, I feel like I would want to do all those things. I would want to participate in all those worlds, not be me personally, but because I got to get the thing done,
It's more about stewarding your time wisely.
Exactly.
It's like you have X amount of time to give. Social media is like at the bottom, and it's like below my priority line. So,
Yeah.
It's Matt.
There he is.
Hey, I think I got a good enough reception to actually do video.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Matt.
Do you think it's interesting? Are we just ignorant, or is there something to be said for every time you do one of these chats with us, social media gets brought up, and you keep having to repeat yourself about whether or not it's useful? There must be something useful, or maybe we're just collectively delusional. But it seems like there must be something useful to it, because we keep assuming that that's the way to do it. Maybe we're just stubborn. I don't know.
I'm kind of like at war with social media, and so I am actively trying to like smash it down in my own life, and so I'm trying to get everybody on board. So, I don't know if it's the right way, honestly, but when I see when I see how it affects me, I take that into consideration. When I see how much time I waste, I take that into consideration. When I think about life before social media, I take that into consideration. When I see the depression rate climbing since social media on your phone came out, I'm like, and after polling my audience, the people who actually support my work and seeing those results, it's like like all those factors put together have kind of drove me to this conclusion. And so I feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle to go this direction because no one else seems to believe it. But I have enough red flags that are telling me don't focus on it. And so, I still think, I just think that what social media is different than what social media platforms market it to their audience. I think it's social. I think it's just friends connecting with friends. So just like friends need to share content with each other to make it explode and go viral, it's still a part of this world of sharing ideas and concepts, just like us talking to each other here. This is just as valuable as getting a link from Twitter or getting a letter from your grandma or talking to someone at a coffee shop. It's the opinions being shared amongst friends that's what matters. However that's done is irrelevant.
Yeah. So this is even more of like an ethical issue for you. Like you actually don't believe in the system that's trying to tell you is going to work for you and give you what you need, and you don't want to take part in it.
Part of it is that I also don't like participating in the hate culture of Twitter, and and I don't like participating in the hate culture of what I saw a lot of things happening with YouTubers doing live streams, and I just wanted to go the opposite direction because if it really started bothering me to the point of where I'm like, okay, I'm going that way. You guys have fun. So again, it's just one of the many things that have just contributed to my decision making changing. And I don't know. Part of it's a test. I'm not strategically. I'm not doing social media at all in 2020. Just partially as a test, partially because I'm sick of it. But I want to just see, can I do this for a year and launch like 3 different projects, maybe 4, and are they going to be as successful if I just get these things done and put them out there, or is it going to be more of a struggle? And do I need to come crawling back to social media?
It's a good experiment. Definitely a good experiment. What I'm interested to see at the end of this year is like how much benefit you either gained or lost from, that kind of like social media marketing. And then the secondary like idea, which was brought up earlier by, I'm sorry, Hannah, or I'm sorry, what's your name?
Heidi.
That's
Heidi.
Heidi.
Yes.
Heidi and Tasha.
Yeah.
Heidi, I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
It was, I think, oh man, I'm so sorry. I think one of you brought it up, but you're in one window, so I'm clumping you.
That's fine. You can see the girls.
But
girls here right now. We lost one.
right. But the other idea is like just straight up ads, like marketing ads, like on Amazon, whatnot. Because there's like, in one sense, when you launch a successful Kickstarter and it starts gaining momentum and traction, the only ads you're going to get are like within that platform potentially. And it's just a really interesting experiment to see like how other like markets potentially like affect people coming into those things, or if it's like is it a big enough ecosystem that it's like can support you just staying within it, it'd be interesting.
Well, I want to say I love ads. I think advertising is a huge benefit. I just need to find the right place to sell ads for the right kind of product.
Fair enough.
So I am interested in the whole Amazon ads. I never even thought about that. So that's interesting.
Blown away by how many sales they make with Amazon ads. They had no idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that then.
Like graphic novels, and you're one of the sponsored ones. You'll just be one of the first things that pop up for people.
Oh,
Always
okay.
click on the first.
Oh yeah, I buy tons of stuff on Amazon because it was sponsored by an ad.
Really? Okay. I was completely unaware of that. So yeah.
That's like how I find out about like stuff to buy. Is I click on one thing on Amazon, and then I scroll to the bottom that it says sponsored stuff related to what you're looking at, and then I go buy that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really, really, really good point, Kip, because they've recently switched how they present. Like you used to scroll down and you would see like more from the author, but now if you scroll down, you see like sponsored stuff that's similar.
Yeah.
And so like ads are
Yeah, you see sponsored stuff, and you see stuff other people bought related to your item.
Yeah.
That's literally how I do my comic book shopping. Is I just go on Amazon and see what people are buying.
There you go.
Yeah. Do that because Lord knows I don't think the publisher has that kind of
sometimes
marketing.
you can actually get Lindsay works with Amazon all the time. Sometimes you can go in and get permissions for all that and permissions for editing your page and things like that.
So is Amazon ads, you might have to ask your husband, is Amazon ads like an expensive thing? I know like compared to like Facebook ads was really expensive for what it gave me when I tried it.
Hey again.
Hey, sorry, can we bother you?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Now he's also a fan. Like he's the one
I
that
am.
introduced me to your stuff like years ago.
Well, good. Well, I'll put you on full screen again then.
Okay, here we go.
I
I hate
the
this.
screen.
Only 3 can be on the screen at one time.
Yeah. So Amazon, for us, it's been really profitable.
Like, how many sales did you get last month through Amazon ads?
I can't remember. I think it was like $40,000.
Wow. Okay.
And that
was profit. And it's what we've found is that there's certain tricks, obviously, to doing it right and doing it well, and you've got to invest some money to make some money. But what we've found is that there's this whole thing, the cost of sale. So like, what did it cost you to get something sold through Amazon ads? How much of a book did it cost you? Like, if you're thinking of the price of a book being $20 or something, how many dollars did you spend to even sell a book? And so, if you can get a low cost of sale, it can be really good. I mean, you're basically just making profit. All we're doing, we're actually paying an outside company to do it because we're such a small team that the expertise, but also just the manpower and the time would be too much. But we've got access to all the accounts and stuff, and we can see what they're doing. And basically what they're doing is they're doing keyword ads. So like any of the topics that are related to our book. So like, you do one ad per book. So you've got such and such book, you put in there, it's been, and you say like, anyone who's searching for these things, we want to bid for those words. So you say like, I mean, obviously like graphic novel, you're probably going to be bidding pretty high to even win the ability to like be at the top of the list for that. But if you have like something particular to do with your book or some kind of niche, you can put down bids, and you basically only pay when when you win that, I think. And then when someone clicks on a link through it and stuff like that. So you're not like Facebook ads. If I remember correctly, with Facebook ads, you're just putting down money to start with. Like,
and they'll just like, we'll get this, we'll list it this many times.
Yeah, and I've tried that sort of stuff before, and sometimes you just get nothing. But with Amazon, it's like you're paying for the results. And so for us, we've done nothing but make money on it. I'm sure there's a point where we could be spending a ton and getting nothing back. Like, there's going to be a point where you're going to be reaching too far. But for us, we've just done like a tiny little bit, and it's still a lot. And so we put in, like keywords for like a book that's like our book. So like, if someone searches for such and such, we think that they would like our book, so we're going to put that in as one of the keywords. And those things are surprising. How many people, like when you go on Amazon, you find that whole thing where it's like, if you like this, check this out. That's usually sponsored, like paid for ads, and we get a lot of sales through that.
Do you get I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you get statistics for like how each keyword performs, and then you can adjust or change the keywords based on that?
Yeah, so you can spend hours like fine tuning, and there's even ways where like, if some current event happens that might suddenly be relevant, you can like change it, live and all the rest. So that's why we're paying a company to do it, because they'll do all that work. But yeah, you get all kinds of reporting, and there's some where we've seen certain things where it's like, we're making money overall, but we're actually losing money on this keyword. We're just like dumping money into this category. Like, there was one that was something like philosophy or something, and we realized like, that's just so much, that's like
so broad.
It's such a broad topic that it wasn't really sales, and you can just see it visually. Like, I think even in red, it's like, this is one I want to delete. So it's pretty, once you get the lingo, especially, like, there's a whole ton of lingo I have to get used to, like acronyms and all the rest. But you can Google it, and find out like all kinds of tutorials online, or even like probably pay for some kind of training. But for us, it has definitely been worth it, and it's definitely overall kind of a passive thing. Like, once you set up, especially if you don't have tons of books. I mean, we're releasing several books a month, so there's a real like ongoing maintenance involved. But if you've got like half a dozen books and you're bringing out one every year, or 2 every year, it's not a huge amount of work to set something up for every book and just kind of let it go, and maybe check it once a week or once a month.
Oh yeah.
So there's that initial output of like setting it up and learning the system. But once it's going, I think I could only imagine it will only make some kind of money, whether it's a lot or at it. I
Well,
don't.
that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I think I would, instead of learning it, I would rather do what you're doing and hiring a company to actually who knows and thinks about this stuff all day long, so I don't have to think about it
Well,
all
I
day
can tell
long.
you our company if you want.
That'd be great. Yeah.
We're this company called Amplify.
Amplify. Okay.
You might need to do more specific searching than that, but Amplify is the company we use. It's a guy called Franklin Goldberg is the guy who runs it, and it's small. It's only 2 or 3 people at the moment, but they have a lot of experience in the publishing world, and so they kind of just launched their own thing.
Yeah.
To work for themselves, and so
That's
I
awesome.
would really recommend them.
Okay. I will definitely try to figure that out because that sounds perfect. I mean, it's exactly what I want.
Well, because they're new, I think they'd probably be open to customizing prices and stuff.
Okay.
Like we
For
had a
small time
contract.
people.
Yeah, we had a contract, so it's we negotiated back and forth and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm especially interested in things like cognitive drawing, like getting advertising for that, because it's a drawing curriculum. It's not selling me as an author. So it's very specific, and I know people search for it all the time, and it's going to hit a niche perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really helpful.
Yeah, it's fun to
exciting.
Fun to discuss all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's like my marketer. I'm like, okay, babe, you got to help me out here. I don't know the graphic novel world, but anyway.
Yeah.
Whole other beast.
It's another beast.
I know it as a reader, but that's about it.
Yeah. I'm sorry we talked for so long, but can I ask like one fan question?
Sure.
As somebody who does both like the story writing and the artwork, what do you prioritize in terms of inspiration? Are you inspired by art first or story first?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
I think, and welcome, Hannah.
Hi.
Good morning, studio.
I'm just sitting over here creeping on everybody's conversations.
Are you in Australia? No, I think, Kip, are you in Australia?
Am I? No. Okay, my roommate just walked in and said, "Today, mate." I don't know why he said that.
Oh, I was like, oh, I guess they're in Australia.
He's just being silly. I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Well, that's still pretty down south. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
So yeah, what more inspiring the world? I think it definitely started out more with the art. So, artwork just inspired me. But as I grew older, I realized the artwork that inspired me was narrative art. Like a story behind the art. I never just got a painting and was like, "Oh, this is amazing." I just like standalone pieces are kind of like, okay, that guy he knows what to do. He knows how to do it. And so, but animation and movies and stories and novels and comics, it's a narrative art form. And so as I've grown older, I think I'm more inspired by the narrative now of the stories. And I just want to make the art set the mood and tone and be something that's beautiful and pulls people in, like the whole concept of the cover sells the book, or you can't sell. You can't judge a book by its cover. Like it's like I'm trying to just make the artwork be that cover image, that stuff that just sucks people in. But I think the stories now are the most important part to me now.
Yeah. And do you tend to like have a secret like philosophical or like idea that you're trying to like show with your story?
Oh yeah. It's
was it you that did the Plato's Cave?
Yeah.
I was really mad when you did that because I was like,
I
wanted to do that. I wasn't.
Okay, I'm so glad that I was asked to do that because I love it. I'm just so happy with how it turned out.
Are you doing more with Cave Publishing?
Well, I did Shapes with them, so that's coming out as a graphic novel in March. We're launching the campaign. And I know they've talked about wanting to hire me for more things. I don't know what my schedule will be like and if the money will be there or the money is necessary, because I really, a big reason I did Shapes was because I was at a broken state in my mind and financially, and I was like, I just want to get a regular job that's doing comics somehow. And then they go, hey, can you do this graphic novel for us? You can write it and draw it and color it. And I was like, yes. So it was like the perfect timing. But now I don't know if I'm in that mode anymore because I spent a whole year working on it, and I'm kind of like, I really want to just get my things going again, And so that's why this year it's just like explode out the doors, like finishing 5 projects at the same time, and it's just like super exciting, So I don't know how much more I'll do with them, but if the right price is there and the right story is there, then I would definitely keep going with them, keep working with them, because they're a great company to work with. I love everybody involved,
Yeah, there's some cool people involved there.
Yeah. So, we're launching the second week of March is the Shapes campaign. So I'm curious how that will go, because they're launching it, but I'm kind of promoting it to my audience. And so I'm really curious how that's going to work.
What are they launching it on?
I'm sorry?
Where are they launching it?
When?
No, where? Like on what platform?
Oh, Indiegogo. Yeah. And I'm kind of like the consultant of the campaign and stuff. And so we'll see. I have high hopes for it. I think a lot of my audience will invest in it, and it's going to be, I'm using my same printer. And so it's going to be the same quality as my books. We're just not going to do the cloth binding, but it will still be just a real high quality, nice book, 152 pages. And so it's going to be a nice additional book to put on the shelf, so that's always exciting.
Yeah.
So what they're launching is that the entire story is one hardbound copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they released them, in the comic shops as issues, and they really want to get their toes wet with Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And so they were like, this is the best opportunity we have, like Jason's kind of doing that. Like, he did this book, like, please, Jason, do it, please, for us. So I'm like, okay. As long as financially it's in my favor.
Nice.
Well, I have the first 2 issues of the mini comic version of it.
Yeah.
So I'll be excited to see it in like big, thick hardback form.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really cool.
I will be too.
Steve.
Steve.
Jason.
Steve.
Hey. Hey. I hate you. Why do you do this during the week, man? Like, I'm at work.
I was going to ask which Steve this is, but I know exactly who it is now.
You know exactly who this is, all right? Like, what are you doing, man? I told you about during the week, man.
I was planning on.
You're killing me.
I was really planning, but then I had a trip to LA, so Saturday got ruined.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
You broke my heart the other day on that video, man. Watching those books get tossed,
Yeah.
I was crying. Oh God, I was crying. I was like, if I had known that that's what you were gonna do, I literally would have sent you money to at least send me 2 of them. I was like, listen, just send me 2. Yeah. I wanted to save at least 2. Yeah. Oh my God, man. I cried. My wife was like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching this man destroy these books.
He's killing art.
Yeah, you kill him. Yo, you don't understand. My heart just dropped in my stomach. I was like, oh my God.
No, I get it. I mean, that's why I haven't been doing anything on YouTube. I've just been so like, every time I walk in my garage, I'm just like frustrated and like disheartened. And
but they paid for all of them, right? Like, so you didn't lose out money, did you?
I didn't lose money. It's just it's costing me money to get kind of back to square one. Time. I was trying to get them. I was trying to do a lot of things with them, and it's just like nothing worked out. And so that was kind of the last straw. And it was like literally the day before the new books were arriving. So that snowstorm, and also that snowstorm happened the hour that the truck showed up, and then it ended as soon as the truck left.
Oh my God.
But
Oh my God! Yeah,
God
that was
literally stopping you.
Yeah, it was just like everything was against.
Nah, it wasn't God.
Yeah,
That wasn't God.
it's like let's see how much
Oh
Jason can
man.
endure.
Yeah, let's see what kind of fortitude Jason has. Like, I'm literally watching this video and I'm just watching you toss books. I would have hired somebody to do it. I couldn't do it. I would have hired somebody just to toss the books and let me know when they're gone, because that was just heart wrenching.
I was trying to do that. There was a couple companies I was talking to, and the prices were just way too high. They couldn't recycle them. They didn't want to recycle them because they had to cut the bindings off of them because they had cloth, and so they're like, okay, that's gonna be like $500 a pallet to go through those. And I'm just
my God!
Like, well, we could burn them. That would only be $1,200.
Oh my God!
So
no, if they would have burned them, I think I would have been. I'd have been in a room somewhere crying. Like, no. If you would have showed a video of just everything on fire, oh my God!
I could have really marketed that one good. These books are so.
Oh my God! I don't know if you guys touched on this. So Jay, when are you expecting the books to be shipped out? Like, I know you touched on it on your video.
Yeah. March 1st we're starting. We're using that whole week.
Okay.
To get everything out. So the goal is everything's done that week.
Man, I would have loved to fly out there to help you, man. Like, but I got things I gotta handle for my book and a few other things I gotta deal with. That's another thing I wanted to ask you. You know what? Since I got you on here, which one do you think I should really start off with, Indiegogo or like Kickstarter?
I think with your book, Indiegogo would be a better fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Steve,
cool. Because I'm sorry.
You're making a book.
What's your book?
Yes, I am creating. Oh, I thought everybody was. Hi. It's Steve Conjay. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm writing a book and drawing and writing the book. It is called Cure for Utopia. I'm up to 220 pages right now. And
what Utopia?
Cure for Utopia.
Cure for Utopia.
Got it.
Yeah. And it's about 220 pages deep right now. I'm towards the end. Now I have to just go back and yeah, I've been doing this for a while. And with a full-time job, child and wife and everybody else. So so it's a labor of love. I love it. The way it looks is fantastic. I can't wait to get it colored. I'm not coloring it. I'm paying someone to color it. The gentleman I'm getting is very professional, and I got his price down. It's not cheap, but it's still way better than what he wanted. And I can't wait to get it to you guys. You know, hopefully by this summer, I should have everything ready to go, and then launch the Indiegogo, and I should be all right.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It doesn't even need color.
Yeah.
Oh, I got an idea for the black and white. Thank you so much. I got an idea for the black and white. But it's gonna be like a higher tier type thing. So I got a little idea for that. But hopefully it'll come out, bro. But thank you so much, guys. And thank you, Jason. You don't know how much I appreciate you, because like you've been not only inspirational, but a lot of your followers, you know, have come over to me and been like, oh, I got from Jason's, YouTube channel. I follow you from Instagram and everything. So yeah, I appreciate it so much, Jay.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's helping.
Yeah, nice. It's definitely helping.
Oh, good. Well, your work.
Oh man,
your work is looking great, man.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank you so much
already too.
Yeah, it's just like it's only been like I can only do it when I have free time. So it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up. I've said this before. I get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I go to work, and then work on it for that 1 hour. Then I go to work. I come home, and I family time. Once everybody's sleeping, I work for it for another 30 minutes or so. And then on the weekends, I work from Friday in the evening, from Friday to Saturday, I'm up 24 hours because I'm up at 5 and I don't go to bed till about 5.
Wow.
So, yeah, I need this done. I need this like I need to breathe. I need this done.
Yeah.
You're so
Creative force.
Thank you. Yeah, but like you know, I really like what everyone's doing. I like a lot of the people, everybody that comes into this chat and, you know, that follow Jason. I follow everybody else. I see what everybody else is doing. So it's just great. Right now, I can't really see who's in the chat because my video kind of froze. But because I'm driving right now, you know, but I got my notification from Jason saying, "Oh, hey, we're alive." I was like, "Great." I thought I was gonna miss you guys, but yeah, Jason, I'm definitely gonna try to make my way out there to see you soon. Hopefully, when it's warmer.
Yeah.
All right. Get to hang out with you, you know, and pick your brains. Hopefully, before the Indiegogo and stuff starts. But I appreciate you. But guys, I gotta leave. I gotta head back to work.
Goodbye, Steve.
Thanks for
All right. So thank you so much, everybody. And Jay, yo, keep going and stop destroying books, man.
I'm done destroying.
No more destroying books, okay? I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, I like how Steve will buy at least 2 of those books.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey Kip, is there a website where we can see your stuff?
Yeah.
Everybody else.
www.kiphendersonart.com.
Okay.
I was the guy that posted the fantasy noir dragon on your Patreon a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay. Here, let me put it on full screen again. I like how you guys all have a mailing list. You're doing it right. Here we go.
Hey, Mandalorian.
Yep, Kip.
Love that elephant.
Thank you. It's from the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles.
Oh wow!
I like them all. That's amazing.
The fox. Ooh, love that fox.
Also,
So you work with Zach King right now, or you do things with him?
Yeah, so he's the one financing the comic that I'm working on.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he has a studio here. Yeah, he does all the magic videos. Yeah, I absolutely love working there. It's like he's so kind and generous. He's basically paying me to like just work on whatever I want to. And his company is assuming all the risk. And then and then I just get to work on the stuff that I'm passionate about, and just get it out into the world. So I've been working on a comic book about a FBI agent during the 1930s who can turn into a dragon. And that I've been working on that for the past 3 years, and so that's the one that's gonna launch on Indiegogo in the next couple of months.
That's cool. Man, what a cool opportunity to be able to just work on what you love working on, having someone help you with that.
Incredible.
Super cool. That is really neat.
Another artist that works with him, his name is Josh Kenfield, and Josh got me connected with Dutch Maple and all that, like Ethan Nicole and that group of guys.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. And so, yep. So I have a bunch of like projects that I've been sitting on for a while, and now it's just a matter of like getting it out into the world.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you have so much work, and yeah, this needs to be put out there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You have a huge portfolio. Really nice stuff, man.
Yeah, this isn't even
Little animations too.
the. Oh yeah, I love going to the aquarium and like drawing all the animals.
Yeah. Fish have a very, very, very cool design language.
Yep. I can animate aquatic mammals, and that's about it.
That's more than I can animate.
Wow, Kip. Well, let me know when your Kickstarter or your Indiegogo is launched. I will definitely back it.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
You are an amazing artist.
Thank you.
You guys are all amazing artists. This is ridiculous. we got a show of amazing artists.
Is anyone going to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle?
I'm sorry?
Most definitely not.
Seattle Comic Con, anybody? No?
I wish, but it's definitely not happening for me.
Are you asking if anyone's going to the Seattle Comic Con?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going this year or probably next.
You're not doing conventions anymore anyway, are you?
Are you?
Not at the moment. I was trying to just get Sithra done so I could go to a convention with the full books, all of them.
Yeah.
But I just haven't gone back into the mode of like, okay, let's start booking conventions yet. And getting ready.
I think I remember you talking about how the overhead was just too steep to justify it.
Yeah. I like the smaller ones. I am going to a homeschooler convention just locally, like an hour away, and I'm going to try to have cognitive drawing done for that show, and just to kind of see how easy it is to sell to homeschooler parents.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So nerdy offerings.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know though. Like the problem with my books is they're so heavy, and so for me to bring all of Sithra, I have to bring at least 6 boxes just to have the whole set, And so it's kind of ridiculous. I've kind of made it so it's really difficult for me to travel with my product because of that. So I don't know quite how to go forward with it. And I'm trying to make a little bit more standalone type books like Shapes and my children's book and a novel and cognitive drawing and these kind of like standalone things, so I could go and maybe bring the first of each series to conventions to give people a taste of things.
Yeah.
Of everything, and then just give flyers that show where they can get the rest online, or get people to join a mailing list to order stuff through a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, But conventions are tricky. They're just so much work.
They are.
I make money, but you got to spend a lot of money to get there.
Yeah.
So.
It's true.
But
which is like criminally expensive.
Yeah, we did not make money on that back when we did a booth there. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I made more money when I was just selling Remind 1 and 2 than I think when I had Sithra 1 come out, I did the best I've ever done because I had Remind done and then Sithra 1. And so it was kind of like, wow, a new series and old ones. And, but then it just started getting to where, okay, let's bring Sithra 3, 4, and, and Remind 1 and 2. And people, there's like so many books to bring.
Yeah.
And then we have paying for bigger spaces and the prices go up. And
Have you heard of Stewart Inc. books?
Of Stewart Inc.
Yeah.
Stewart Inc. Yeah, they've sold some of my books in the past.
Okay, cool. That's where I find out about a bunch of books because they show at all of the conventions that I go to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then they always have like the best selection of books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like conventions. I think going forward, it would be one of those things where I would want to hire someone to do it for me once the company gets to that place, someone to go set up, book all the shows, sell, and then it's a marketing tool. We're just trying to break even and get books get exposure as much as we can for the shows. And, but it's just, it's too much work for me to do it by myself, you know. And then I end up taking off like 8 days for like a 4 or 5 day show. It takes me like 8 days of downtime that I'm not getting anything done anymore. So, you know, it's just one of those things like, okay, I wore the hat when it was really small, but now it's like, it's too big for me to wear that hat, you know? So, but I don't know. I think things are going to keep growing. And so I think it's just a matter of time until I can establish that kind of a business to where I have a guy that does this and a guy that does that, you know. And I mean, I actually have an assistant, so that's a big deal for me, you know.
Jason, big step.
Anime.
It's a big step. So, I don't pay him full time, but he comes in and makes his own hours, but
nice.
And then right now he hasn't been doing much with me because we wrapped up Shapes. He was helping a lot on Shapes, and so now it's kind of, you know, a little downtime right now. So
I met someone at Anime Milwaukee who was manning a booth, and I was talking to him assuming he was the artist. He's like, "Oh no, I just work for him, and this is the con that I do, and like, you know, so like, great places, and I sell the stuff here, and then we've got another guy that sells it elsewhere. You know, they can hit up more cons, and the artist himself doesn't actually have to be at them.
Yeah,
sounds like a good businessman.
Yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, I love that whole idea of the entrepreneur side of things, but I've never gone to business school. I never, you know, so it's kind of like a little baby steps learning this stuff as I go.
That in art college, I'm very upset that they didn't do that when I was there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's a ripoff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just having to like come back and talk to kids about their taxes and just there are things you don't consider. Just
Yeah.
That is a very good point. But like I would like the unspoken thing that's probably going through a lot of our minds. Well, it's going through my mind. I shouldn't speak for you guys, but it's like any time you take focusing on the business side of things is also time you have to take. Like we only have a limited amount of time per day.
Yeah.
So any amount of time you focus on one side of business or art, it's like less of the other. And at the same time, like, you know, there's this like almost this promise of the potential where you look at that guy who's hiring this person to run this con and that con, and it's like, okay, he might have put up a lot of upfront work into the business side of things, but now he can step away.
And
Yeah, but it's like, ooh, that's pretty tricky.
I wish I had picked that guy's brain a little bit more.
I feel like
right.
at a certain point where you're, I don't know, you have enough momentum, you're selling stuff enough, like you're making enough money, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like most people are not, most of us aren't there yet at all.
So you think it's probably like when you're in that position to like reallocate those funds, then you can start thinking about that.
Yeah. Or when you're like growing so fast that you don't actually know what to do with all of the.
Oh yeah.
It's when it's like, okay, I think we should just get somebody else doing something because we're just growing so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't know when it's happening to you.
To be fair, he was selling mostly fan art, which is how you make money at those things. Which is criminal and it's sad, but that's just the way of things.
Yeah.
Hey, if you made a print of like the Teen Titans as bunnies, you would make bank.
I do a lot of bunny characters as bunnies anyway, so I should probably do more of that.
Yeah, that was specific. That was a targeted joke.
Well done.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up. I'm going to do a couple things and get ready to head out tomorrow. So
thank you.
But this was a really fun conversation. So
thanks so much. I'm excited to get your Sithra box set in the mail.
Yeah. I'm excited to send it.
I'll see it in like a year or so when I get back to my house.
Oh, what's going on?
I just ship everything to America because it's way cheaper. But
where are you? Yeah, where are you right now?
I'm in Singapore.
What, the best country? That's awesome.
Crazy.
So, but it means
doing
that I buy all my Indiegogo stuff and I send it to my parents' house and I get it like on my annual Christmas trip.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Isn't Singapore a shipping capital? You should be able to get things there.
It's whatever. It's the other side of the earth. It's
It really
kind of the farthest place you can go for shipping.
There's nothing.
But anyway, thank you so much, Jason.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys.
It was good to meet all three of you.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah, likewise. We're gonna go look up all your stuff now.
Okay.
All righty, guys. Well, thanks again. Unplugging now and signing off of social media. No. Just joking.
Everyone go delete your Twitter account.
Go delete Twitter now. No, I'm just joking. All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.